Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever in the world you're watching and tuning in from. Welcome to the Metisware Cybersecurity Webinar for 2025, and also a happy Cyber Awareness Month, Cybersecurity Awareness Month. It used to be that cybersecurity was always just an IT issue, and now it's no longer an IT issue. It's a dining room table issue because this is affecting each and every one of us. It affects the way you bank, it affects the websites you interact with, your shopping, your data, your privacy, your kids' safety. So today's webinar is answering all those questions you might have. We've got a Q&A section where you can chat to our expert panelists that are going to be joining us here today. And stay tuned because there's some incredible prizes to be won. But first of all, let me give you some of the housekeeping rules. If you've got a question, pop them into during the Q&A, pop them into the chat section. Stay tuned because there's some incredible giveaways. And just remember, the most dangerous virus just isn't being online, it's complacency as well. So that's a great tip for us. As we get started with our conference, we've got some incredible speakers joining us from ESET, Vercom, and Westcon. Some incredible prizes to be won and answering those hard-hitting questions for you. So please, no question is silly on our Q&A section to our panelists. It might be something that you're struggling with, something you don't understand. Please, this is a safe space for us to chat, expand, and talk about cybersecurity affecting all of us in our households. So let's get our day started. We've got Stephen Peterson, the CEO of Metisware, just to do the official welcome before we jump into our panelists.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to our event today. It's great to have you here, and thank you, Liesl, for the introduction and for helping us out. In case you guys are wondering where you've heard that voice from, Liesl is a well-known radio presenter at KFM and a TV personality, and so thank you for taking the time out to be with us today. So, for those of you who know my friend Dan, Dan's dad last week lost essentially the greatest part of his pension. What had happened was some scammers had impersonated his bank and sent him a text message to his phone asking him for some particulars. Dan's dad is 80 years old, but a very clever guy. You know, he used to work in the tech department of a large corporate, and so you'd think that he knows what's going on. But cybersecurity scams and the hacking world of today has become so sophisticated that even somebody such as him who has all the experience and who understands how these things work could fall for a scam. And unfortunately, because he had a password that he used on multiple sites, and they used the password that he had used on his Gmail, the same password he used on his internet banking. The bank is unlikely to assist and to refund. They say that it is, it's his own fault. And it made me think about, how we secure our homes. Last night I was at home and I had armed my alarm, and I'd made sure that the armed response is connected. I checked on the cameras that the electric fencing is working, and we spend a lot of time and money securing our property, securing our homes, and belonging to the neighborhood watch. But I don't think that we spend nearly enough time securing our computers and securing the devices, such as our mobile phones and iPads, of our loved ones. And this is a very good case of where my friend Dan, he's works in the IT department. He's very clever. He's got all of these things, and he just didn't sort of extend that to his dad. And I think we all have a responsibility to take, as Liesl has said, to take this conversation from the from the tech, from the boardroom into the dining room. And so please, I'd like you to help me welcome today our speakers. So the first speaker that we've got up today is Kaylin from ESET. So ESET is a good partner of Metisware. We use their software to protect our endpoints. And so you probably have, if you're one of our customers, you probably have ESET running on all of your machines. But I think this is the opportunity that we want to take to extend that to, maybe it's now time for us to talk about getting ESET onto your home computers and getting that onto the devices of your loved ones. After that, we're going to go to Antonio. So many of you would have received those messages from from Vercom. They come in they come into your mailbox every day, and it says, these are the messages that have been quarantined, and so they help us protect your mail system, and that's one of the sort of biggest vectors that people use to get into people's accounts and systems, and so we're very proud to have them as a partner for us. And then last but not least, we're going to speak to our partners at Westcon. So Westcon provides technical services to us as Metisware. They provide us with all the clever tools that we use to secure your environment, and one of their experts will be chatting to us today about how we can use their tools to secure your space. And so thank you everybody for joining us. We love having you here, and I appreciate the time that you've made available to us. And so let's continue with the rest of our day. Thank you, Liesel.
So our next speaker is going to talk to us about how we can stay safe online and understand how criminals actually trick us online and what we can do to stay one step ahead. From ESET, please give a virtual round of applause for our next speaker, Kaylin Kluter.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for the warm welcome, Liesel, and thank you to Metisware for having ESET and inviting us to speak today. We all know cybersecurity is a very important topic and something that is, of course, very close to our hearts at ESET, and we would like to, of course, share with yourselves how to, stay one step ahead in the current cybersecurity landscape. Okay, so by show of hands, can everyone please just let me know once they can see my screen? Wonderful. All right, so we'll get straight into it. All right, so but before we kick off and go straight into what cybersecurity is and where everything fits in, I think it's very important for everyone to know who we are as an organization, who ESET is, where we fit into, the greater scheme of things before we can really teach about cybersecurity. We want to, of course, have the sort of credibility to let you know that we've been around for a very long time. So ESET is a cybersecurity organization, right? We've been around for over 35 years. We are a leader in Europe and fastly growing in Africa as well. We're present in 195 countries. We also have a massive focus on research and development, especially focusing on IT security products and services. And we are definitely a leader in the threat intelligence industry, of which we leverage for all of our training. All right. So we do also do cybersecurity awareness training. Okay. So I'm just going to go on to the next slide. So of course, what is cybersecurity and why should this matter to you? Okay, so cybersecurity is the practice of protecting systems, network, and devices from, of course, digital attacks. And very much like Stephen mentioned, cybersecurity is essentially the digital equivalent of protecting your house from crooks. So, unfortunately, there are so many entry points. So the practice of cybersecurity is really to ensure that we, as the security vendors, do protect clients, companies, businesses, just to make sure that they stay clear of these crooks. So the cybersecurity landscape is constantly evolving and changing. And why it matters to you is because it helps you keep your information safe online. Okay, so billions of people interact with the internet each and every day, right? So when I say billions of people, you might think you're using it for something as simple as WhatsApp, so you're not really interacting with the internet. Anything that connects you to other users essentially is the internet, you interacting with the internet, all right? So this is just a few little facts regarding internet users in Africa, all right? So of course, this is very relevant to those in Africa, of course. So why we've singled out South Africa and Kenya is because that is where ESET has offices in Africa. So in South Africa, we have an office, our head office is based in Cape Town. And then of course in Kenya, Nairobi, Kenya, we have another office there as well, all right? So this is essentially how many users accesses the internet in Africa, and it's constantly changing and growing. All right. So, what we would like to do to kick off, we would like to, of course, keep the session interactive and fun. Cybersecurity can often be seen as a very daunting topic and subject, and people really do get very scared when they hear about cybersecurity. So, we would like to keep this fun. And like Liesel has mentioned, there's also fun giveaways and exciting prizes that's going to happen today. So I would say be very engaged with us. Make sure that you have your fingers on the chat because we're going to ask some very simple and easy questions. And then, of course, we do have lucky winners at the end of each and every quiz that we are asking. All right, so it's going to take us about a minute or so just to ask a few questions. All right, so please be ready. So, those of us that are joining online, you're most welcome to just indicate whether what I'm saying is a myth or whether this is an actual fact. All right, so let's kick off. Number one, can you tell whether your phone or computer has been hacked? So please, fastest fingers first in the chat. You can tell whether or not your phone or computer has been hacked. So, yes, let's get into it and uncover whether or not that is a fact or a myth. So, as you can see, that is indeed a myth. So, when hackers install malware on your device, it can be very hard to detect. So, once they have access to your device, they can coordinate other attacks on other systems, and they would even be able to access things as your webcam. So, I mean, most of us in the security space would always have a little cover on our webcam, just to ensure that these malicious and threat actors do not have access not only to our personal information, but also have access to see things, going around on your laptop or computer or whichever device. All right, so very well done to those that have entered. So as you can see, this is only an hour session, so we need to move really fast. We'll move on to the next set of questions. All right, so again, please be very fast in the chat because we will announce afterwards. All right, question number 2. Are you all ready? All right, let's go. So, a variety of really difficult and complex passwords will keep you safe online. Is that a fact or is that a myth? If you're using literally each and every letter of the alphabet, special characters, extra long passwords, is that a way of keeping you safe online? Right. So I think we'll uncover if this is a fact or a myth. So, unfortunately, this is not true. So, hackers often use software that runs millions of combination passwords. So, what we need to understand that these threat actors are extremely smart and very sophisticated. So, this means they can have many methods of actually uncovering and figuring out your password. So, they can use social engineering and many other ways of actually uncovering a password. So that is sadly a myth. Taking us into question number 3. I'm assuming everyone is ready now. So the first 2 is good warm up. Let's go with number 3. All right, so it's not that big of a deal to have your data stolen if all you do is scroll on social media, surf the web, and send a few emails. So we're keeping an eye on the chat there. Please do tell us whether or not this is a myth or whether this is factual. I'll give it a second. All right. Okay, let's uncover the answer. So again, sadly, this is a myth because social media data is worth a lot more than you think. All right. Of course, there are organizations that do a lot of marketing, or whatever the case may be. So it's very easy for them to, access your data and really hold it a ransom. So a lot of the information that we share online, we need to be very cognizant of because this can be used against us. There's also not too long ago, I had apologies. I had a radio interview where we just shared some, tips on staying safe online, not posting things as such things as where your children go to school or, any sort of personal information. This can be extremely valuable and not even just to the marketing, the marketing guys out there, but also to potential malicious actors. All right. And I think to end off with the quizzes for now, question number 4, getting straight into that. Sorry, we just need to be very mindful of the time. Okay, so those of us that are using Apple devices are very confident in the software, all right? So do we think they cannot be hacked? Is this a fact or myth? So yes, I'll wait to see back from you in the chat. Yeah, Apple has great security, I have to say. But sadly, this is a myth. And that is because, people that often think their data is not vulnerable to be hacked. It is, there are many ways of people accessing data from your mobile device, right? Yes, Apple does have brilliant security features, and most of us probably trust them a lot more than Android. But you should always maintain security, even when it comes to having, an Apple device. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone, for participating in the quiz. I think we're all awake now. I know it's quite late in the afternoon, but I think just before we announce the winners of the quiz, I do believe it is a few vouchers that will be up for grabs, but we will be announcing those winners. All right. So why do we, of course, want to bring awareness? Because with increased public attention, hackers will target you. So it's very important to, be aware that common attacks can be leveraged against you. So when you're aware, you'll be better prepared to spot or even avoid any sort of, common attacks. So we're going to touch on a lot of the common cybersecurity attacks that is very prevalent in today's threat landscape. Okay, so there are a few that is removed from mine, but I believe the team from Vocom, Westcom will also be touching on a few. So I'll kick off from my side with malware, okay, or ransomware. So, those of us that don't know what malware stands for, it's essentially malicious software. All right. So, malware essentially locks devices or encrypt the content to extort money from users to typically restore access. Okay. So, we're going to showcase a very cool little, very short video of how these threat actors utilize these sort of software to infiltrate and access data. Okay. So sorry, please bear with me. We're going to just play the video.
The word ransomware is a combination of ransom and software and refers to any kind of malware that demands a ransom from a user in exchange for the return of a kidnapped file. Kidnapped? Ransom? Is this for real? Yes, basically, this threat works just like a kidnapping in real life, except the things held captive are your files, which may be multimedia files, office files, or system files that your computer relies on to work properly. How is it spread? Typical methods are through attachments sent via unsolicited emails, or by clicking on a link in an email that claims to be from a bank or delivery company. They are also distributed through peer-to-peer file sharing networks, being passed on through activation keys for popular software, like Adobe Photoshop and Microsoft Office. What kinds are there? There are two kinds. The first is called a file coder, which encrypts the files. And the second is a lock screen, which locks the computer and stops you using it until you have paid the ransom. This type of threat sometimes employs psychological methods to trick you and pressurize you into paying. In some cases, the lock screen also incorporates a live transmission of what the webcam is currently seeing, which creates a feeling that someone really is watching you. Other times, the message on the lock screen takes the form of a notice from a national police force, which states that the authorities require you to pay a fine because they have found evidence that your computer contains images of child abuse or bestiality, or that you have visited illegal websites or used pirated software. So do you have to pay? We do not recommend paying for two reasons. Firstly, there is no way to stop the attackers demanding more money from you. And secondly, if you pay the ransom, you are helping create a new market for cyber criminals, which could lead to further ransomware attacks, as well as other types of attacks in the future. Rather than pay, it is better to learn the lesson. Make sure to back up your data regularly so you can recover your files if you are unlucky enough that it happens again. And also make sure to get better protection for your computer. As always, prevention is better than the cure. If you have a good security solution and run frequent backups, you shouldn't have any problems. Keep enjoying everything that technology has to offer you. The word ransomware.
Thank you so much, everyone. I hope the sound was clear and you could hear that. So it's a very interesting short little clip on ransomware, just to make sure that, of course, we understand exactly how this works. And these threat actors are, of course, very malicious and extremely smart. So we'll go on to the to another very common way of threat actors trying to infiltrate our information. There's something that is called credential stuffing. So essentially, cyber attack that uses leaked or stolen credentials that belongs to one account to attempt to gain access to more accounts. So what Stephen again has mentioned, very sadly, that a very close friend has been impacted by something called credential stuffing, which is essentially where they, some of us, there's so many applications that we need to log into. So we don't really want to, remember all these passwords. So then we use, for example, one password for everything, which is definitely not recommended when it comes to cybersecurity best practices. All right. So we would strongly advise against, reusing credentials. You can always get something like a password manager. ESET also does have a password manager from our home licensing side, where you can, of course, remember or retain and store your passwords. Okay, so with that being said, it's very important to regularly change your passwords. So the longer one goes with the password unchanged, the more likely it is for a hacker to find a way to crack into your, into your password. We also, of course, recommend things like MFA, multi-factor authentication. You can use Google Authenticator or ESET two-factor authenticator. You can also monitor your accounts. So there's paid services that monitor your online identities, but of course there are also free services that you can use to check whether your email address, for example, has been connected to any recent leaks. All right. When it comes to password mitigation, what you can do is type in "have I been pawned?" You can type in your email address, and it will basically tell you whether or not your email has been involved in any sort of breaches. Should it have been involved in any breach, it will give you all that information that it has been involved in. All right. So yeah, it's also good to, of course, check the security of your passwords that you have saved to your Google account. Of course, regularly checking that. So there are various ways of checking if you have been part of an online or data breach. All right. So, sorry, I'm just going to skip past a few of these slides just to, of course, make sure that we're still keeping to time. And then lastly, I just want to show a quick little hack. So a very common cybersecurity breaching tool that these strict actors are using at the moment is social engineering. All right. So social engineering is essentially when these threat actors go under false pretenses and try to get information, trying to breach into your account. So I'm going to play a short little clip just to show you exactly how easy it is to be a victim of social engineering.
So I invited a few of the world's best hackers to try to hack me and show me where my vulnerabilities are. And now I'm going to meet them in Las Vegas for DEF CON, the biggest hacker convention of the year. They're going to hack me using social engineering, which is essentially hacking without any code. They just use a phone and an internet connection.
You want to do a sample phishing call?
What's phishing?
Phishing is voice solicitation. And basically what you do is you use the phone to extract information or data points that can be used in a later attack.
Let's do it. Who are you going to call?
Maybe I'll call your cell phone provider and
Okay.
see if I can get them to give me your email address.
I bet they're good. I bet they have my back. But yeah, go for it.
I'm going to spoof from your number, so it's going to look like it's calling from you.
Okay.
Hi, I'm so sorry. Can you hear me okay? My baby, I'm sorry. My husband's like, we're about to apply for a loan and we just had a baby and he's like, get this done by today. So I'm so sorry. I can't call you back. Log into our account for uses information and I can't remember what email address we used to log the account. The baby's crying and can you help me? Awesome.
In just 30 seconds,
gmail.com.
Jessica gets access to my personal email address.
Now, I needed to add our daughter on our account so she could call in and make changes. How would I need to go about doing that? You would have to send me a secure PIN through a text message. Yeah, well, the thing is, I don't think I'll be able to receive a text message if I'm on the phone. Oh, I'm not on there either. So I thought when we got married, he added me to the account.
Jess uses my girlfriend's name and a fake social security number
5127.
to set up her own personal access to my account.
Wait, I'm sorry. So there's no password on my account right now. Can I set that up?
She even gets the support person to change my password.
Thank you so much for your help today.
So she just basically blocked me out of my own account.
I'll get her set up. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. So yes, as we can see, it is extremely easy to, try to break into someone's network, especially when using certain social engineering tactics. But for the interest in time, we're just quickly going to touch on the mitigation, all right? And then we'll hand back over to Liesel. So things like turning off your location sharing, turning your profile to private, and opening links from accounts you don't know. Just to be aware of those measures, that those can really make a massive impact in how these security actors can go about getting our information. So I think that is essentially it from my side. Thank you all so much for your time and your patience with us today. We do understand that it is quite a packed schedule. So thank you all so much. I'll hand back over to Liesel.
Wow, Kaylin, that's really an eye-opener for all of us. And also for those who were watching and interacting with those Q&As, did you get some of them right? Did you get some of them wrong? There's no judgment here today. But we do have 4 winners that walk away with Take-A-Lot vouchers. So congratulations. Unique will be in contact with you. Natasha Haramsa, Toxie Smits, and Sibale Sejola will be in contact with you. So congratulations to our winners today. So next up, let's talk about something that trips us all up. Even the smartest person in the room, I don't think I know someone that hasn't been tripped up. I was almost tripped up last week by an email that said, I need to reset a password. Then 2 days later, I got an email saying, no, this account hasn't been paid. You need to update your banking details here. And as I was about to click, I went, no, let me just double check what the email address is doing. What is this about? Let me just find out. Let me make a call to my bank. So many of us get those emails on a daily basis. Put your hands up on the chat today. Have you had an email like that? And then double hands up if you've actually clicked through on it. Ooh, well, if you have, our next expert is here to assist. We are speaking to Antonio Ortiz from Vercom, who's going to show us how to spot those fake emails straight away. Over to you, Antonio.
Thank you very much, Liesel, for the introduction. And it's true, email security or email authentication is very important nowadays. It's getting more difficult to spot a bad email when it's being sent to you. So the importance about email authentication, there are 2 parts. One, you have to have a system that when you receive an email to make sure that the email's coming from the real source. And 2, it would be for you to have your domain properly secure. Myself, I've been doing email security for the last 12 years now, and I've seen a difference of how people are more concerned about email authentication. Before, it was not that much. IT professionals, owners of business were not that into email authentication. And nowadays, there's a big change and the trending about making sure your email is properly authenticated because of different reasons. One of them is that, for sure, you don't want to get an email from someone pretending to be someone, even a vendor that you do business with, a customer to you. So there has protocols that it will make sure that the email is authenticated using SPF, DKIM, DMARC, which we're going to talk about now. That's part the email authentication part. So let's try to break down or talk about very simple about email authentication because of the time. And so email authentication. There's authentication protocol called DMARC. DMARC is nothing, it's not new, has been there for years and years, probably 15, 20 years or more. Why people were not using it so much is because they were afraid back in the days to break something. There was not that much knowledge about how to set up a DMARC and so on. People thought that only using SPF, which probably is a word that you have heard before, I have my SPF in place and I feel secure. Unfortunately, it's not true. Sometimes your SPF, which is basically a DNS record in your DNS that tells the world who can send emails on behalf of you. So let's say Office 365. You put in your DNS that Office 365 is authorized to send emails on behalf of you. You have your email filtering like Proofpoint, and then you put Proofpoint and Office 365 is allowed to send emails on my behalf. Sometimes there are mistakes on the SPF, typos, duplicates, too many entries, an SPF, which again is you telling the world who is authorized to send emails on behalf of your domain, they can only have what they call lookups, 10 lookups. Basically, imagine that you're drilling into your SPF, and you can only have 10 levels of SPF available. When you go above that 10 mark, your SPF is broken. The problem with that nowadays is that a lot of the services are cloud services, and being cloud services like your ticketing system, your marketing tools, all of that is a cloud service that where they're sending an email on behalf of you. So you have to be adding SPF entries in your current SPF. And it gets to a point that you, without noticing, you are breaking your SPF. And now what you thought it was safe for you to have an SPF, and now I have my SPF and everything's properly done, now you're above that level or that number of lookups, and your SPF is broken. So when you send an email or someone sends an email pretend to be you, that SPF is broken and it's not taken consideration, and a lot of system will take that as an authentication or a pass because there's nothing to compare to, and it will allow that email to come in. So that's the problem with that. So what are things that you probably heard about DKIM? DKIM is a protocol that focuses on the content of the email, the body of the email. So whatever they send to you is exactly what you should receive. That helps a lot with malicious interception of an email. When you send an email from A to B, and when that B server receives that email, if that service, which is part of email authentication, DKIM, when they send an email has a DKIM signature in it, that server or that the recipient service will check, okay, is the SPF correct? Yes, it is. It's coming from an IP that is authorized by the sender. So that's good. Now, DKIM. Now let's focus on the content of the email. And this is where malicious things happen. They change the information. You send an email that has your bank information, and suddenly somebody intercepts your email. And when it's received for the other by the recipient, now the bank information is different from what you sent. So that's why it's so important to have DKIM signatures or DKIM protocol implemented. So when that email comes in, they check that the DKIM key signature and has a DNS entry that they're gonna check if it matches the DNS published key. And if it does, then that email came, it was not touched, it was not changed, and it would be accepted. So that would be an authenticated email. Now, what is DMARC? DMARC, I mean, when I talk about DMARC, I want to keep it very simple. For me, DMARC, I refer to DMARC like the referee. It's the guy that, the protocol that says, yes, I'm going to do either authenticate you, don't do anything, quarantine you, or reject you. So the way it works is that when you implement DMARC, is just to protect your domain out there in the world. When somebody sends you an email that has DMARC policies implemented, let's say p-reject, and you're receiving that email, it's very difficult to spoof a domain that has DMARC protocols with the policy of p-reject. As I said before, DMARC has different protocols, 3. p-non is a policy, p-quarantine, and p-reject. So the ideal world, it would be that you have to get into p-reject. Now, how do you get to that journey about getting from p-non to p-reject? Well, you reach out professionals like Metisware, where they're going to guide you, help you out to get through those transition, to start with a p-non, analyze all the reports that you're getting, and we'll take you from p-non to quarantine to reject. Now, let me show you in a live account, it's my test account, which is receiving emails from outside the world, and how it looks and what DMARC is looking to either authenticate your email or fail your email in the authentication part. So let me share my screen, and hopefully you can see it. So this is our email filtering proof point that checks inbound emails. It's checking for authentication, and it's going to check that the email that you're getting is coming from an authenticated source. So this is an example of an email coming in. it's interesting because the only thing you see on your Outlook, it would be what is called from header, which is this is what you see in Outlook. But you don't see this part because it's more technical part. But let me explain it. So from the DMARC perspective, what they're looking is always for an alignment. An alignment is between the envelope or the mail from address and the from header. That's what they're looking for. That would be the alignment that they're looking for. That's the first option for DMARC. If they align, they're going to say, okay, now let's check the IP address. If the IP address is coming from a source or an IP that is authorized in your DNS entry, then it's going to say, okay, DMARC will say, okay, this aligns with the from address and the mail from address, and the IP is authorized. That would be an authentication from the perspective of DMARC. This would be the ideal world. Now, the problem with this is that sometimes you have a ticketing system. You get an email from the bank, you get what you think is a bank, or your vendor, your customer, the people that you interact with very often. And suddenly this will change because they're not sending an email from the same place. How does that look? Let's say, just highlight here an email from Walmart. So as you can see now, Walmart envelope or mail from address is not the same as the from address. So from the perspective of DMARC, and this is how important is this, is that the spammer, the hacker, the ones trying to harm you, it would be more difficult for them to send an email from the Walmart network or system. They're going to send it from a different place, even marketing tools. And then the from address, they can be whoever they want to be. The problem with this is that the only thing you see when you get an email is the from header, and that can be changed very simple. Now, so how you protect against that? How does DMARC work or protects you against this, let's say, potential spoof attempt? So DMARC will do the same. It will like, hey, does this align? Does the mail from address and the from address align? They don't. So SPF is out of the question about authenticating this email. So what's the option? DKIM. Remember, DKIM is the one protecting your domain, the content of the body of your email. So they want to make sure that is that. So now would be the only option to talk about email authentication. In this case, would be DKIM. So again, it's the same type of thing. They're looking for alignment. So on every email that has a DKIM signature, there's a value called D equals domain. So this is the DKIM signature. This is when Walmart sent, or that third-party application sends an email. This is what it shows. This is the DKIM signature that is embedded in every email. Now, so what we're looking now is on the from header, the domain name, ewalmart.ca, and on the DKIM signature, that the D equals domain is the same. So as you can see here, if we find the DKIM signature for Walmart is here, D equals ewalmart.ca, which aligns with this. So DMARC is finding that alignment between those two. And if the domain, if the email was not changed in any way in transit, sometimes it's changed without any malicious intention because it's a misconfiguration and it breaks DKIM. And now you're going to have problems sending emails. So in this case, they align. The email was not touched. The DKIM signature matches with the DNS entry, and that would be an alignment, and that would be a way to authenticate third-party applications sending on emails on behalf of you. So this is how DMARC works. And if it will say the alignment, then it will check your policy. If your policy is PNON, P-reject, P-quarantine, P-reject, it will always send the report back to you, to the sender. Now, why is so important about email authentication? There's so many systems, like Report, checks email, what are you getting? But I think from my perspective, or that's my personal opinion, it's more important for your domain to be secure. When I say secure and authenticated, one, because you build trust with the senders. If they know, sometimes nowadays, as I said, I see more people be concerned about DMARC and not necessarily IT professionals, the owner of the company, they want to make sure that no one sends emails on behalf of them. Why? Because maybe they already have a bad experience about that. Somebody sent an email to their customer. The customer did a payment to a different bank account, and now they're upset. They're going to be upset with you, with your brand, and that's very bad. So what we try to do with DMARC is to avoid that situation. The best way to do it is implement DMARC, and that would be important. Now, when we set up DMARC, a lot of the times we get across when you, as the IT or the owner, invest on marketing, let's say marketing, when you somebody sends emails on behalf of you, you want to make sure those are properly authenticated, because unfortunately we get across, let's say, nothing to do with the brand, is just how it's set up. MailChimp, SendGrid, Constant Contact, also kind of self-service systems. You go to the website, you subscribe, you send, and then you start to create campaign and send them over. There's no one to guide you on how to do that. Every single email usually has the default DKIM signature, where it's going to be something different like this one. This is the default from Salesforce. Walmart is using Salesforce to send the email, but Salesforce, the D equals domain Salesforce, does not align with the from address. So that would be a failure. What they do, they have the correct setup, and they add in a second DKIM signature where it says this email is coming from this D equals domain, and that's how it gets authenticated. So sometimes we, as people, as owner of the company, marketing, they buy, and they spend a certain amount of money to make sure to create a campaign. They send a campaign, and they think they're properly authenticated and being delivered, and it's not true. They will they will see in their platform that they sent 10,000 emails. 10,000 emails were received, but it is one thing that you receive the email and then the authentication part starts. And now that whoever is receiving that email, Gmail, will do the authentication, and at that point it's going to bounce, put in the junk folder or spam folder that email. So your money that you're investing in that is not working as intended. I send an email from a service that I use for testing purposes. So just to show you how simple it is for me, my test here, I just sent an email to Gmail, and Gmail, as you can see, it received my message from Bruce@Vercom.com. We don't have a Bruce in Vercom.com. And it got delivered. I did this from similar to the command prompt of the computer. I'm not this compared to those spammers dedicated to that. Mine is a toy compared to what they have. There are very sophisticated stuff that I do. But this is how simple it is to send an email, pretend to be one of your company, your domain. So this is why it's so important to have DMARC implemented. But now the second part. Okay, so I have DKIM, SPF, DMARC, peer reject, and now what? Well, you need something to get reports back to you to tell you, hey, this, and this is wrong. You need help. You need to fix this problem. And we have tools. Just to give you an idea, when DMARC sends a report back to the sender, you send something called an XML file. An XML file are very hard to read. I think I have an example of them here, like this. This is an XML file. This is the report they send back to you. And this is, I think, 2 transactions. Imagine you send a campaign of 5,000 emails, 1,000 emails. You're not going to spend the time to read this and see if they can assist you, or there's something wrong with it, or something wrong with the authentication. It's very hard. That's why there are systems out there. There are something called like that when we have on DMARC, is that will give you a UI to read, where you can understand what's happening. You can see the reports. This is going to guide you about if you're using like Google Workspace, your 15,000 emails are 100% compliance. They're passing SPF or they're passing DKIM. But what about, I don't know, let's say you're using any of them. Some of them are, you can see, they have high failure rate. Out of 10,000, 8,000 are failing. This is all demo data, but it's just for you to give you the information on how you're going to understand what's happening with your domain, how is your domain behaving out there in the world, and the importance of email authentication. This is a DMARC record. This is how it looks. The policy is p-reject, 100%, and there's a mailbox where to send the reports. I've seen so many times that people go Google DMARC protocol, they copy paste and they put in their DNS. And sure, the problem with that is that because they saw this in DMARC and Google, they put p-reject and everything, and then suddenly their SPF is broken. You basically telling everybody else in the world, like, reject my email on a failure of SPF and reject the email, and then you're in a bad situation. So that's the importance of email authentication. You build trust. Nowadays, are agencies that they require for you to get to use DMARC, have DMARC set up, and a p-reject option, because when they get an email, they want to make sure that it's really coming from you, not coming from you, someone that's pretending to be you. So before, no one wanted to do it because they were scared about breaking something, or the lack of knowledge about how to set up DMARC. Nowadays, it's becoming more, the trend is very high. And the reason why is because it's so simple with so many tools, AI and all of that, to fake a domain or spoof a domain. So that's why you need, be curious, go into this tool, MX Toolbox, type your domain name, check on DMARC. What type of DMARC you have? Do you have something that says just DMARC C1 P none? There's no benefit of doing that. You have to go to p-reject, keep your domain safe, keep your brand safe, the trust, don't break the trust, don't be a victim of a spoof domain, protect your customers by you implementing that. It could be part of the conversation. Listen, every time I send you an email, just to let you know, my emails are fully authenticated and protected with DMARC, the p-reject, and that starts to build trust to the vendor. So I don't know if you have any questions for me that I can answer, just to be respectful of the time and for my colleagues that are going to talk about different things. So if you have any question for me, okay, perfect. Just because taking your time, and I appreciate your time and the time to talk about DMARC authentication, we want to give away a $100 Amazon gift card, and just type the word on DMARC on the chat, and the team from Metisware will take care over that raffle. And I appreciate that. Keep your domain safe. Be curious. Check your DMARC policy. If you're in a P none or something without mailbox, that's not the correct way. You're not safe. Reach out to professionals like Metisware, and they're going to guide you, help you, and guide you all the way to implement DMARC properly and get everything secure for you. Thank you very much, and back to you, Lisa.
Thank you, Antonio. And just remember that next time you get an email that you think is from your bank or from Netflix and it smells fishy, it probably is. So I'm sure you're all just sitting there waiting to go, who is going to walk away with that $100 Amazon gift card? Well, I'm holding thumbs for you, double thumbs here. Let's see who that winner is. Okay, it was number 5. The team will tell me if they've managed to get that person's name. Let's see, is it there in the, yeah, there it is in the chat. Tertia Miranda, please to announce that you are that winner. Congratulations. But don't go anywhere. We've still got some more prizes up for grabs and some interesting conversation to be had. Now, if you had any questions around what our speakers were talking about today, you're not sure, or you're a little bit confused and you're too shy to put it into the chat box, too shy to ask anyone, don't be. The team from Metisware are here for you to answer those questions. So even after this webinar, even a week later, if something comes to mind and you go, oh, I want to ask that question, please reach out to them. Their contact details are in your email box. They'll be at the end of the webinar, so you can just reach out to them. So we have heard about cybersecurity awareness. We've heard about email safety. Now it's time to talk about keeping our devices and our data safe. Very big and very important. From Westcon, please welcome Mutasim Sundke to tell us more.
Hey, thank you so much, Liesel, and thank you, Metisware, for giving us Westcon the opportunity to speak today. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you. My name is Metisware Sundke, and I work as an M365 solution engineer, working closely with companies across the region to strengthen their security posture, especially around protecting devices and safeguarding business critical data. So first of all, just a big short overview of what Westcon typically does. We at Westcon, we work as a Microsoft licensed distributor for all of the companies throughout the region and helping them with technical capabilities throughout M365 and Microsoft Suite. So today, guys, our aim is simple: to understand how to keep your devices and your data safe. Yeah, sure. We would be using practical controls that make sense in the real world, whether you are from an IT background, maybe you're from a business owner company, maybe an operation. But this session is designed to make security simple and meaningful, which we have been working throughout the workshop. So I will just quickly share my screen and any of you can pop me and confirm if you guys can see it. So guys, here how we spend our next few minutes. Throughout the agenda, we have an introduction, which I typically did. Device security fundamentals will be our first and the most important point. Second will be device security lifecycle. And third, we have data security essentials, protecting data in modern environments. And we have a short key takeaways from the workshop as well. So when we think and when we talk about cybersecurity, most of it related to device security. So most people immediately think of hackers or malwares, but in reality, the most common entry point isn't an attacker. It's the device that's being used. Over the last few years, as hybrid and remote work became normal, we have seen many IT companies outsource their services to many countries which are working remotely, to many engineers which is not on place or on site. So the number of unmanaged or personal devices accessing corporate information has exploded. So unmanaged device may be a device which is not in the inventory. For example, an employee leaves the company, but the laptop, their phone, or the tablet still has the last sync file or email to the company data. If we don't have the visibility or the control, that data can easily be forwarded or misused. And as organization, we won't even know that. So I would say the first message is, if you can't see a device, you can't secure it. So hybrid work, the loss theft and everything, the security fundamentals start with visibility, control, and protection. So I would tell you the why device security lifecycle is very important in this modernization era. Devices are the first point of attack, guys. Everyone knows that. Whether it's an email with a malicious attachment, a USB drive, a fake login page, or outdated system, maybe, attackers target the device first because it is often the weakest point. And once a device is compromised, they just don't stop there. They move deeper into the network, into the system, and they go to their goal, which is end of the day. It is the data which they want to take out from your device. So when we talk about the device security lifecycle, a healthy security approach is not a one-time setup. It's a life cycle. Whether it is an unmanaged device, we make that device into inventory, so we have that visibility for the devices. Then when we talk about authentication, we don't trust passwords alone anymore. As you guys have seen throughout the webinar, we saw Calin, we saw Antonio speaking a lot of more about authentication. But we verify the user, then the device. Only healthy and the trusted devices should access the data. So once a device is registered, we apply security policies, we update the device. There are antivirus policies. We also disable risky legacy protocols. So even the best protection can be bypassed, we know that, but we monitor device behavior. If something unusual happens, like unknown files running or a user transferring a huge amount of data, the system flags it. So there is where Microsoft Defender for endpoints come into the picture. You can see the antivirus plus EDR I have mentioned in the PPT. So the antivirus, we call this as a first layer of protection. After that, we have EDR. So to make things very much simple, not getting dig into more technicalities, endpoint detection response gives us the live monitoring and responses. But after that, we have an IT in place, which team detects, isolate, and remediate our cycle. So this was just a quick overview why device security and the life cycle is very much important to the modernization and the new organization who are working familiar, everyone in the IT. So it's the most important thing. The second most important thing which we have today is, let's shift to the second part, which is the data security. Because at the end of the day, attackers are not here for your laptops. We all know that. They are here for your data. Data security simply means, I would say, protecting information from unauthorized access or misuse, whether it's stored in use or being shared. We have lots and tons of data in the organization. So protecting information from unauthorized access, keeping data safe at rest in use or motion. So more than an infrastructure, focus on data itself, where it is getting stored, which data is useful for now, or maybe we have some files that would be needing after 2 months, after 3 months. So most of the organization knows that data security is important, but very few know where the sensitive data actually lives. So this is where I want all of your attention and focus to be, like identify which data is crucial for the company. If you don't know what data you have, where it is, and who's using it, obviously you can't protect the data. So before we protect the data, we need to identify and classify it. When we have executives over the company over the call here, I want you to say that we need, it's a very important part that we need to identify and classify data. Like sensitive data, we have labelings in Microsoft Purview, which is a niche technology and most important and the growing one in the market right now, where they protect the data focused towards your complexity and your requirement of the organization. So we will just check protecting the data, what we can say, the identify sensitive data. For example, we have HR records, salaries, contracts. This is just an example, but we must identify them so they can be protected. Data classification we have in Microsoft Purview, which we call as sensitivity labels. So we classify data is like putting instruction on it. For example, this data is for public. This data is internal data. Then we have confidential label. We have super confidential, highly confidential label. This can only be used with executives or maybe confidential people in the organization. So these all are the things we classify. After classifying what we get, we can control, encrypt, watermark, we can restrict access automatically. So we don't need to take a hold of audit. We have Microsoft Purview to do that. We just have to classify, we just have to let the technology know the sensitivity label, which data is personal, which data is confidential, which data is highly confidential, and it is a kind of automation which usually does the work in the backend. The third most important point of our conversation today is data loss prevention, which we call as DLP. So DLP helps prevent accidental exposure, or I would not say accidental exposure. Maybe people do that deliberately to steal out the data from the organization. But if someone tries to send confidential data outside, DLP can warn them. DLP can raise an alert to the IT administrator. DLP can even block them. So this technology is the most important thing, I would say, in this modern workplace. Like even if you have specified everything and the data is getting theft, data loss prevention comes into the picture and it can block it entirely. For example, if any of you guys are aware of Microsoft Purview and they have been using DLP, you know that you cannot send credit card information. You cannot send, according to South Africa, we have PIOPA Act or the security baseline for that. So all of those things mentioned in those articles, in those identify sensitive type, they cannot send out information if they cannot pass the data loss prevention policy. So DLP is again one of the most important factor in modern world. The last thing when protecting the data is data security in AI era. We are very much aware, we are seeing a new challenge that employs copying and pasting sensitive information into AI tools. I would personally say that I have also been that one kind of an employee when I use ChatGPT or maybe Copilot a lot, where we paste organization data. But what about to protect it? What about if it is a confidential data? What about we are leaking something to AI platforms such as ChatGPT or Copilot? So once it goes out, there is no undo button. So data protection must extend into AI usage as well. We know the benefits of AI. We have been listening to AI a lot. It's like, I would say, in United States, people are telling that AI is spreading like a drugs over there. So we can say absolutely AI is booming, but what are the precautions? What needs to be done to protect our data, to protect the organization in this AI era? So we have something called data security in the AI. We have something called DSPM, Data Security Posture Management, automates, which is again a technology evolved to protect the data in AI era. So what we do in DSPM, discover first thing, again, discovery is the most important part. We then classify, protect, and monitor. So this is very crucial as organization adopt more cloud services. Okay, we are having a very much of feasibility going into the cloud. We don't need to have an on-premises setup now. But again, the crucial as organization adopt more cloud services, we need to be ensure that our organization is protected. So this was all the takeaways where you say data and the devices come hands in hands. So let's wrap up. Visibility again is the foundation of the security. Trust the device plus trust the user. Trust requires verifying the user and the devices. And we have legacy protocols, which is the major attack surface, I would say, are silent but a real threat. Classify data, then apply controls where we care about data security. We need to know which data and which data has the confidentiality and which data is important. I would again say that AI, artificial intelligence, requires new governance. So security is just not a one-time project. It's a continuous journey. Start with visibility. It gives you the confidence to protect what matters the most. So I would say that was all from my side, guys. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much, Metisware. And thank you, Liesel. Over to you now.
Mitsum, thank you so much. And as we said earlier, if there was something that you didn't understand or a bit confused about, Metisware team are here for you. And just going into the chat, Jessica and Naidu saying very, very helpful. So all our panelists today, just taking the time to be here, to chat to us, to answer those questions, to just educate us all on our cybersecurity. Thank you so much once again to Stephen, Kaylin, Antonia, and Mutasim, our sponsors, ESET, Vercom, and Westcon, and of course the entire team. You do not understand how big the team is behind the screens, putting this whole team event together. So to the team from Metisware, thank you so much for putting together a really educational day, and reach out to them at any time to ask a question you might have regarding one of our panelists, one of the things that you've learned today, or maybe something you're struggling with when it comes to your cybersecurity. So we're not finished yet. I'm going to hand over to the CEO of Metisware just to say the final goodbye and thank you.
Yeah, thanks everybody, and thanks to all our speakers. It's been really great having you all here. I think just a last message from me. We've got a lot of our clients online. Jessica, and I see you there, and I see a lot of our a lot of very familiar names in the chat, and it's great. It's great having our clients here. But I've also seen that there's quite a lot of people who, who are friends of our clients, family members. And this is really it's really an event for everybody. And so if you're not a client of ours and we're not looking after your systems, you need us to extend some of our expertise, we're more than keen to do that. And so please reach out. If we look after your office systems, and you're feeling a little bit vulnerable at home, then please let us then quickly please let us quickly, please let us then get in touch and let us help you. So, you have our contact details. It would be in the mail that you received for this event. You can find us online, and of course, you can reach out to any of our staff members. So great. So please do that. It'll be great to connect and to share and to help. I'm going to hand back to Liesel as I say goodbye, as we have one more giveaway, and then thank you for joining us. It's been really great having you, and we'll see you soon.
The Metisware Cybersecurity Webinar 2025 not over yet. The last final prize to be given away. Thanks so much to the team from Westcon for sponsoring this. Mutasim, your talk was really educational and informative. And now to see who's walking away with this incredible prize. Today, the giveaway is a barbecue grill. That's our prize. So let's see who's walking away with this. Congratulations, Anele Mukanya. You are our winner in today's giveaway. Our team will be in contact with you. And thanks so much to everyone for the interaction, for the conversation, for the chat. It might be the end of our webinar, but this conversation's not over. As I said at the start, we always thought that cybersecurity was just in the boardroom with our IT specialists. It's now something that we discuss at dining room tables in our own home. And it's something that we shouldn't take for granted, whether we are working with our grandparents, whether we are looking at family photos, whether we're on social media, whether we're clicking on those wrong emails. It is important for each and every one of us. So if you took a little bit away from us today, or a lot away, or you were left a little confused and going, oh, I don't know where to start, I don't know what to do, super easy. The team from Metisware are here to answer those questions. They're here to help you. They might do your work and home security. Let them do your cybersecurity at home. You can just reach out to them. I look forward to chatting to you again next year at our cybersecurity event. Have yourself a fabulous day further. Take care.